All right, guys, so the time has finally come for us to start working on the interior pieces of our come and swap square body. We've got a lot to do. We got to fit our front seats, our back seat. We've got some panels to paint, some other stuff to prep, and we've got to get to work on our headliner, which needs some severe help.
Brother, this thing looks like it's been sitting at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, well, look how flimsy this is. This is common. I don't know what these are. They're almost like house styrofoam that got pressed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just absolutely terrible.
I don't know, and like, it is rough.
It's rough. It needs some help. So the game plan for today is to go ahead and get all this stuff off of here. And then we've got a couple sheets of fiberglass that we're fixing to just go ahead, put on top of this thing and get it all shaped so that we have that original shape. And we're still going to use the factory backing, but we've just really got to strengthen this up because otherwise it's going to fall apart. We don't want that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true that. And not only that, we have never worked with fiberglass.
Never. And I made in the community post, I did say in the next couple of videos, you guys are going to get to see a couple of things that we have never done, and you're going to get to watch us learn it in real time. So
learn it, fail it, do it, probably do it again.
We hope that it works out. I don't know. We'll see. But that being said, it's time for me to break out a little bit of fiberglass resin. Or well, first, I guess I need to clean this, and then I'm going to break out a little bit of fiberglass resin, some fiberglass mat, and hopefully, here before long, we've got a rigid headliner.
Well, buddy, that whole little sanding job you did makes it look 10 times better.
Just that little bit. I used to use a wire wheel, or a wire brush, and get all that off, but that 180 sandpaper just made it quick work. But then again, this was already like well on its way.
Oh yeah, but it just made it look a lot better.
It did. I wish I had some super glue. I'd put it under places like this and all, but I think what I can do, I can probably take some of that fiberglass resin and put under it and then roll it out, and I think it'll probably be good enough to hold it in place, and then that way we can kind of hit everything on top and then lay that mat there and then go back over it with resin. I watched a guy on YouTube do just the same thing, and he only did one coat or one sheet of fiberglass, and his was great. So we may get away with one. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna place one and figure out where we're at. Up here we may have to do a little bit more because this is gonna need some desperate help.
Yeah.
But we may end up doing more than one up here, just kind of strengthen this. But I think overall, like in the middle right here, we'll probably get away with one because that stuff does get pretty solid. I mean, it's really, most headliners anyway, they have a little bit of give in them. So we may not go too crazy and then just do the one thing. So that way we can just, put it on in the truck or whatever. But we do have something we're gonna do to this headliner that we've kind of kept from you guys. We're gonna wait and talk about that here in a few. We want to get this fixed first, and that way we can get the fabric on here and get that taken care of, and then we'll go into that. But it's about time to mix up some fiberglass resin, and then we're going to get to work on this and just really hope that this works out. So who knows? I guess we'll find out. Alrighty guys, so a couple of days later, you can see right here we got our headliner completely fiberglassed in. I know we said we were going to do one layer of matte, but after we got that one finished and looked things over, we decided we needed a second one. So we went ahead, put that second layer of matte, followed by a really heavy coat of resin. And you can hear that that's starting to harden up, but there are places where it got really heavy. So it's going to have to sit and cure because it's still a little bit wet and tacky in places, so we don't want to mess with it too much right now. But after that cures and gets hardened and all of that, I think we'll be able to hit it with some sandpaper on the DA, get some of those high spots knocked down, because since we're going to be putting fabric over the top, we do want it to be pretty flat and pretty straight. So we're going to let that sit a little bit, but in the meantime, I do have a few other things I need to do. I need to go down to the parts truck and pull out all the interior panels that I have for the Squarebody and get those washed up and cleaned, scuffed, and ready for paint, as well as the door panels. So on those, I've got some big plans for the door panels, and we're going to do away with some of the carpet and things like that on them. But in the meantime, they've got to be painted before I can do all of that, so I've got to take those apart as well. But with all that being completed, this joker's going to start coming together. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and go down, pull those out. We're going to get started on that, get some paint sprayed, and then we'll be ready, hopefully, in the next day or two to start putting some of this stuff together. Alrighty guys, so we got all of our interior panels painted and looking pretty good. I went ahead and stuck a couple of the door panels in there, just kind of sitting on the door to get those out of the way, to make sure nothing happens to them. I am missing one of them that I still have to go and find. It's that passenger front door, because the one that I had was just in bad shape, as well as that other panel. So I'll find some time to go and get those later on. But with all of that completed, I can go now and get started on that headliner, which you guys remember we finally fiberglassed that. And so now I've got to drill a bunch of holes. I got to put the fabric on and get ready for the next step, which I'm really excited about. And I hope that you guys are cool with it, but we'll find out. But anyway, we got a lot of work to do, and that's going to take a lot of time. So it's time for us to get to work right now and get this headliner looking like a headliner. Alrighty guys, so you can see I got the cover actually on our headliner, and it looks pretty decent. It is a little bit lumpy where there were some issues with the fiberglass and all that good stuff, but I don't think it's going to be anything that you'll be able to notice once it's actually in the truck. So I'm pretty content with this. If it comes down to it, I guess we could get another board later on, but we just didn't have time for all that. But for what it is, and for everything that we went through to get to that point, I think that it looks pretty good. So that being said, you guys are probably wondering why I was drilling holes in the headliner, and I told y'all that I had a little bit of a secret that I was keeping, and I wanted to wait until pretty much the end of the video. I guess now is the time to go ahead and tell you guys what the plan is. So sitting right here on our 1966 workbench, I've got these two boxes right here, as well as just this huge wad of fiber optic cable. And what this is a Starlight headliner kit, and it's something, you guys may have seen it in my white truck, but this is a Starlight headliner kit. This is something that comes in the Rolls Royces. It is really, really cool. Not everybody's cup of tea, but it is just a little custom touch that I think is just absolutely awesome. And I thought with everything that we had done to this build, I thought that it was going to be pretty cool. This is going to be a little bit different. When I built the one that's in my white truck, they didn't offer these kits yet. So I actually had to come up with another way. But now they offer these kits, and this one is pretty neat. It's RGB, it changes color, it twinkles, and this thing right here, it's supposed to have a meteor shower type setting. So I should be able to have shooting stars in this, as well as the solid color and all of that. So I think that's really going to be cool. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this box up because I haven't done that yet. And I'm going to check it out. Not going to be able to film and check it out at the same time because it is app operated. So I'm going to set it up, and then I'll pop back in here. I'll tell you guys kind of what we got going on with this thing. Okay, guys, so I've got this thing hooked up. I've got my fiber optic cable ran. So I'm going to show you guys right here at the end. You can see right there. It's sort of twinkling. I didn't change any speeds or anything like that, but I've got it set just to a color you'd be able to see it. So it shines through this fiber optic all the way through and then comes out the end. And then this little box right here, you can tell right there, it just kind of runs down. So I pretty much put the ends of the other fiber optic cable in there and then run it how I want to run it in the headliner. And so as it runs across the opposite end of wherever that fiber optic runs to, it lights up the end and it'll create the shooting stars in the headliner. This is a very, very time-consuming process. So I'm going to call it a night tonight and let this glue on this headliner dry so that material doesn't go anywhere, because I did make the mistake one time of putting in one of these Starlight headliners, and I got a little bit anxious or a little bit gung-ho, and just started going a little bit too early. The glue wasn't completely dry, and whenever I went to push the fiber optic cable through the material, it just separated it from the headliner board. So we don't want that, so I'm going to let it sit tonight, and then Hunter will also be here tomorrow, so that'll be an extra set of hands, so it should go much faster. But when he gets here, we'll get this fiber optic cable and everything ran through the headliner, and then that way we can go ahead and get it put in the truck, see how it actually looks in there, and we'll be making some serious progress.
Well, 5-6 hours later,
We finally got like 450-ish stars in here.
and a sore thumb.
And a sore thumb. That right there is like getting that stuff to go through that material, because we pre-drilled the holes in the headliner, but getting it to go through the material itself, just a little bit of a pain.
It would be a little bit of a
A bit
pain.
of a pain. We had a few left over where we couldn't find the holes, but we're to this point now, so we can't drill more holes because then it'll ruin the material on the backside, so we don't want that. We sacrificed a few, but I think we've got plenty.
Oh, yeah.
More than enough, actually.
Yeah, I mean, because you look down here, dude. It looks like a wired jungle down here.
It's a lot. So got that. We ended up super gluing everything as far as the fibers go in place for the most part, or as many as we can anyway. And then we also put some duct tape to kind of try to help hold everything flat when we put it in the truck. It's not pretty, but it's on the back side of the headliner, but that's what you want. You want it to sit sort of flat so that whenever you get it in there, you don't have just like, you know, a bunch of like everything pushing the headliner down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we got that done, so we're pretty much ready now because all the screws finally came in to be able to put this thing in the truck and put some of those interior panels in that are gonna hold it up. We are missing the interior light. We don't have one of those, and that's actually what supports the very middle of this thing. So we don't have that, but we are able to get this thing in there and kind of hold it in place because I think it'll be fine just with those outside pieces because of that the fiberglass that we put on there. So I think we'll be good. So we'll just go ahead, get this joker lifted up, get it moved out in the truck, and fixing to have to cut all these things off.
Yeah, luckily that's not as hard as putting it in. So
it's not. Once we get it in the truck, we're gonna have all those things hanging down. We're gonna take some fingernail clippers and then we'll clip all these off flat, flush with the material on the bottom. So I think it'll look good. I think it's gonna be sick. This is the first time I have ever done one with shooting stars, so I'm anxious to see how that actually looks. I think between the both of us, this is number 7 that we've done.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so something like that. We've done several of these, but never one with shooting stars. So
Or an old one like this.
yeah, especially one this old. But it's gonna be kind of a cool thing to see, and I'm excited to see how it looks. So let's not kill any more time. Let's get this joker moved in the truck. See how she looks.
Brother, I don't know if I'm looking at the sky or the headliner in this truck.
Who can tell it? Nah, dude, that looks pretty good.
It does.
There's a couple of them that may or may not have broke while we were putting it in there. And
Honestly, there's so many in there, even if there's a few broke.
yeah, you can't even tell. But whenever these fiber optic, whenever the fibers break, they only shine out through the end. So when they break, you don't get any light. But honestly, like you said, there's so many in here and all of that it looks pretty good regardless. We do have to figure out something to, hide this little box, but I think what we might do is just cut a little something out right here, and then that way we can recess it in there and it'll all be covered with the interior panel. Same with this, but it'll all be back behind this.
It'll be all in the pillar.
Yeah, or, we could, I don't know, we'll come up with something. We'll come up with a way to hide it and get it looking good, but I don't know about you, bro. I'm ready to see this thing in the dark. That's the only way to get, the true full effect. I mean, it looks cool now, but it's time to see it in the dark.
Yeah.
And see how bright it actually is. And then, we'll see. We'll see how we actually like it. It looks pretty good.
Dude, in the dark, it looks totally different than it does with lights on in here.
Honestly, you can see a bunch of lights here, but when you turn the lights off, seems like there's far more in there.
Dude, it really does, because they're so faded, compared to all the bright ones. It almost is like a real night, starry sky.
Yeah, that's one thing that I like about this kit is how it has some that are really bright, some that are not. And so just like looking at the night sky, you've got brighter stars, you got, a little bit dimmer stars, you got the shooting star every now and then. So I don't know about you, might have to put a kit like this in the wax truck.
Well, we're going to wait for a little while because this one has got me beat.
This one was, I'm not going to lie to you, putting this thing back in here because of the way that it installs, it was rough.
It was rough.
It really was rough.
My back hurts, my leg hurts. I got a few cramps.
Everything hurts, you know what I'm saying? But hey, at the end of the day, we did get it in there. We didn't get all the side panels in there yet because I think all of that needs to go in probably after the carpet. And like I said, we do have to figure out what we're going to do with this, but I think we might somehow try to recess it in that pillar panel right there. So we might try to build a little something there, maybe cut it out, flip it back. It's something, we'll come up with something to put it right there. I'm stoked about it. That's a big step, and this thing's been without a headliner for several years. So we got a headliner in there, so now it's ready for the other panels, carpet, dash pad, seats. And this truck will be getting close to the end.
Interior's gonna be kind of nice.
I'm pretty excited about it, especially that paired with the gauges that we put in, and I don't know, man. It's gonna look so good. I'm really, really excited. And seeing that headliner has lit a fire. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I'm pretty excited.
Actually, it has lit a few lights. I wouldn't say fire.
It lit up a few stars. You know what I'm saying?
Lit up a few stars.
But anyway, I'm pretty excited about it. But guys, I appreciate you tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out that one right there because YouTube thinks that's the best one for you to watch next. Hit that subscribe button. Get some merch. We got it pinned in the comments. You can check out the website, get some merch. But as always, appreciate you tuning in. Catch you on the next one. Deuces.